Hello friends, it's Alexis and welcome to another HALLOWEEKEND reading vlog. I have to confess that at the time of filming this, we are actually in HALLOWEEKEND 4. I just forgot and never filmed an intro for HALLOWEEKEND 3. At this point, I have already completed everything I wanted to read for this vlog, so now I just have to tell you what I used for each prompt. So I'm gonna send you back in time now to when I did my rolls and picked what prompts we were using, and then I will be back to tell you what books they fit to. Roll number 1 for this HALLOWEEKEND is going to be a 3. Okay, so Onyx is making his way into the green room this time, and this is the living room, and the theme is to read dark books. So goals for the weekend are to get the ghost and to continue in the Scared Sexy collection that I've been reading every weekend, and to knock another book off of my October TBR. So I'm hoping to do at least 3 rolls, but we'll see. I think let's just head towards the ghost and I guess do prompt number 11. I'm not looking at them ahead of time this week. I am just getting what I get. So let's see. Number 11 is going to be read a book with a favorite trope or make a fall-inspired item. For this first prompt, I decided to go with one of my most anticipated books of October. It's on my official TBR. I've been waiting to read it all year, waiting for the perfect spooky season time, and that is A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. This one is a Frankenstein retelling. The 2 main male characters are in love. They live in Victorian England, and they obviously cannot be out and public about the relationship, so they decide to create a daughter from plants. And while queer horror or eco-horror could count as my favorite trope, what I'm really using this for is the back describes this one as an extraordinary tale of family, fungus, and more than a dash of bloody revenge from an exciting new voice in queer horror. Those are all of my buzzwords mixed together. But bloody revenge in a horror book, that's gotta be my favorite trope. All right, next up for roll number 2, we got a 1. Ugh, we're so close to the ghost. All right, so we'll just move 1 and go to space number 12, get as close to the ghost as we can. So prompt 12 is to read a new release or do an anticipated fall activity. I am also so excited for this next one. I initially wasn't going to read it because I don't like the title, but then I thought about it and I realized that I have read and loved almost all of this author's other works. There was one that stood out that I was not a fan of, but what I've heard from this one sounds a lot more like my kind of thing, and that is Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. You see what I mean about the title. So I didn't know too much going into this one. Like I said, it's an author I had read from before, and I actually saw it compared to a movie that I really enjoyed. So I decided to pick it up, and I was super excited to get it on the TBR so fast after buying it. I say this later in the video too, but I do think this is one that you should go into blind. I think all you need to know about this one is that this is essentially a retelling of John Carpenter's The Thing, but make it 1,000 times hornier. Roll number 3, kind of hoping for a 1 again, that way I can catch this ghost. A 5, of course. Well, I still want the ghost, so we're just gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're gonna get that ghost. So the ghost prompt for the dining room is to read a book that you can spell magic, M-A-G-I-C, on the cover, or do an anticipated fall activity. The ghost prompt this time around was perfect because, as you know, if you've been watching my other HALLOWEEKEND vlogs, it is my goal every single week to read another short story from Amazon's Scared Sexy collection. This works perfectly for that. For this prompt, I will be reading Falling by Christina Lauren. I did have to use the text across the top that say it's like an Amazon original, but I think that counts because the prompt specifically says on the cover, not in the title. Okay, so I think that means we can use anything. And while I do acknowledge that this is stretching the room prompt a little bit, since the prompt is to read dark books for the living room, I'm gonna count this because like the cover's dark blue. And Lexi said that the prompts are up to our interpretation. If we think they count, they count. So I'm counting it. I know I didn't talk about it, but I think it's pretty obvious the other ones have darker subject matter. Your more traditional horror, whereas this one is a fun, goofy romance horror. So I think those count. Okay, this is gonna be our fourth roll, so I'm gonna hopefully head for the purple room, the kitchen, next. Maybe I can get it in one roll. Let's see. A 3. So not quite, but we're gonna move 1, 2, 3 and land on space number 4. And prompt 4 is to read a book picked by a random emoji generator or do a fall themed activity. Okay, so obviously I have to go for the emoji generator prompt because that is so fun. How could I not? And I can't even wait until tomorrow when I'm planning on filming this intro to find out what emoji I'm getting. So you're just gonna get a voiceover and a screen recording and we're gonna figure it out now what emoji I have to match a book up to. All right, I'm only gonna hit randomize once. I really hope this is a good one. Please be something I can work with. A bear. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do with a bear? All right, and now for my favorite prompt I have gotten throughout this entire readathon. I cannot believe how perfect this is. Initially, when I got the bear as my emoji, I was like, oh my God, I do not know of any books with a bear on it that I haven't already read. Like my mind was blank. And then I had a brain blast and I realized there is a book that just came out recently that I have read everything prior in the series, and there's a bear on the cover. And that, of course, is What Stalks the Deep by T. Kingfisher. This is the third book in her series, the Sworn Soldier series, following a soldier named Alex Easton as they travel around sort of solving supernatural mysteries, I would say. The first one started out as a retelling of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. The second one had to do with this nightmare sleep paralysis demon. And then in this one, Alex travels to America, meets up with an old friend that we met in the first book, and gets into some really creepy stuff in an old, dark, abandoned mine. Final roll, let's get out of this room. A 2. That'll do it. So we can go 1, 2, land on space number 6 and exit the room. Prompt number 6 is going to be to read a book with 2 or more points of view or eat or drink a fall themed treat. And finally, for our last prompt, I knew I had a busier weekend ahead of me, so I decided to go with the activity prompt over adding another book to the TBR. So I do end up getting a very delicious fall harvest latte on Sunday morning. We ended up going to one of my favorite coffee shops. So you'll get to see a little bit of footage of that. And other than that, this is a very exciting vlog because I get a super anticipated tattoo that I have had an idea for in my head for literal years. I've been saying I was gonna get this, but I just finally pulled the trigger. One of my favorite tattoo artists had an opening. I've gotten other stuff from him before. I love his work. I knew that he was the perfect person for this tattoo, and October was just the perfect time for it. So I'm really excited for you guys to see it. Hopefully you stick around, and I hope you enjoy the spooky vibes of my third Hallow weekend. Well, I was reading, but now I can't really see my book over this big guy. Work is done and it is finally time to commence Hallow weekend activities. But first, we have a reading update. We didn't talk anymore yesterday after I started my first book, Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. I still hate this title. I hate saying this title, but I'm loving this book so much. Oh my God. Like from the very first page, I was like, yup, this is exactly my kind of book. And I fear it's going to take over my entire life because I have only thought about reading this book today and I've been too busy to do it, and it's devastating. Still gonna be a little bit before I get back to it because I have plans tonight that we'll talk about in a second. But first, I ended up making it to page 53 last night. So not very far in, but like you know, it's a short book, so we got right into the action. So I went into this one a little bit blind. Literally, the reason I bought it is I saw an Instagram post comparing it to the movie Together that came out earlier this year. So obviously, any book compared to that movie, I'm like, yep, let me snatch it up. So I'm very happy to say that so far it is living up to that expectation. I would really describe this one as a mix between the movie Together and John Carpenter's The Thing. It's actually funny, they mention The Thing a lot in this one. So like the author knows what she's doing, taking inspiration from that classic story, but putting a twist on it. And I think so far it's really well done. It's early to be calling this a 5-star book, but it's giving me the feelings. In this one, we are following our main character named Kinsey, and she is a doctor doing research at this remote lab in the desert. It's her and 5 other people. I had to write their names on the back of my bookmark because I could not keep them straight. And they're just doing various research. Right now, they're just talking about climate change and how nothing really lives in this desert until the beginning of our story, where they come across something that is alive under the sand that shouldn't be. It does not look like anything they've encountered before. It is described as a coyote, but with 6 spider-like legs. Ugh. So Kinsey actually breaks the rules in the beginning of this. She notices that the specimen, as they call it, is breathing. They're not supposed to bring anything living into the station, but a storm is coming. Kinsey wants to keep studying it, so she instructs her team to bring it into the lab. The team all thinks that it is deceased until they get it in the lab. It wakes up and some things start happening. After the crew's encounter with the specimen, they all end up, besides Kinsey, falling ill with this mysterious illness. It's this fever, they're sick for a few days, and then they're seemingly fine after, except we found in the last part that I read last night, I don't think they're fine. I think something has spread to them from this specimen, and I'm living for it. So like I mentioned, very big The Thing vibes, and then the Together vibes come in because Kinsey is feeling this overwhelming urge, this draw to be near the specimen. Oh my God, the descriptions in this are just done so well. I feel like I can feel everything Kinsey's feeling, being drawn to this thing, not understanding why. And then we have the sexual aspect of it. This book is so sexual so far. We have had scenes of Kinsey with herself. She has an interesting fetish, I would say, but we've gotten a little bit of insight into her mind during this scene where she was in confinement in her room. And then also the way that the crew is acting now since they've been infected is this very aggressive sexual behavior where they just want to be as close as possible to Kinsey, much like Together. Absolutely loving my time. Cannot wait to get back to it. But I have to wait a little bit because right now I am first heading to Barnes & Noble to pick up What Stalks the Deep by T. Kingfisher because obviously, as I mentioned in the intro, reading it this weekend, super excited. And then we are going to a fall holiday, or a Falladay, as it's being called, market. I'm really, really excited. I've been to the winter market that they put on around Christmas time at this same location, and it's just gonna be all these vendors selling spooky goods. There's gonna be lots of food and drinks, and there's actually a movie playing tonight on this outdoor big screen. We're going to be watching Hocus Pocus, so it's just gonna be so fun. It's gonna be the perfect Halloween vibes, and I can't wait. And I'm home. I will be starting to read very soon, but first, a haul. First up, What Sucks the Deep? Super excited to read this one, probably on Sunday. And then also, Your Favorite Scary Movie, How Scream Films Rewrote the Rules of Horror. I wanted to read this one for a while, and I figured it's Halloween season. I would pick it up and maybe get to it by the end of the month. But also, I'm really behind on my nonfiction goal for the year. I think I have to read like 5 more. I feel like I'm gonna be participating in Nonfiction November this year. Other than that, the only thing I got besides food from the fall-a-day market was this little ghost guy. He's hand-painted. The woman I bought him from was literally painting more at the stand because she was selling out of all of them because they were super, super cute. She did have some that were like holding little pumpkins, but they weren't painted yet. So maybe if there were one of those, I would have got that instead. But like, he's so cute with his little stars in his skull. So I love him. I don't know where I'm gonna put him yet. And besides that, the movie was fun. I've seen Hocus Pocus so many times, I could probably quote the entire thing, but it still puts me in the Halloween spirit. So now it is finally time to get back to this one. Hello, good morning. It's tattoo day. I don't know why I am so nervous, but I am. It's been a few months since I got a tattoo. I actually think my last tattoo was in April, so it's been quite a few months. So I have about an hour before I have to leave, and I still have to do a lot before then. I have to do my hair, do my makeup, I have to eat something, and I have to let the dogs out, and I have to pack my bag. So we have to multitask, and I'm gonna talk to you about Spread Me. I don't have the dust jacket on, so I don't know why I'm holding it up, but I'm gonna talk to you about this while I get ready, because I have made it to 150 pages in. I'm so close to finishing. I was trying so hard to finish it this morning before my appointment because I don't want to bring it, but I really want to read it. I don't know, maybe I will bring it and finish it real quick. But I was planning on reading on my Kindle because that's the easiest thing to do while getting tattooed, so you don't have to hold it with 2 hands, even though I am getting the tattoo on my leg, so like my hands will be free. I'm clearly an overthinker if it wasn't obvious. But I am still absolutely loving my time reading this. It is everything I wanted it to be. It is still giving The Thing vibes. Not too much has happened. It's kind of getting cyclical now that they've discovered that this thing is in the base with them and they're trying to figure out what to do. They confine the infected person just to find somebody else is infected. So at this point, we have 2 confirmed people are infected and a 3rd that they suspect. And my only real complaint would be that they're kind of making dumb choices with like the person they suspected, or like even the way they're treating the people who are confirmed infected. I would have been doing it differently, but that's just me. And of course, I'm not actually in that situation, so who knows how I would actually react. So I find myself yelling at the characters on the page just a little bit to be like, come on, stop being so dumb. But besides that, absolutely loving my time reading this one. That actually went a lot faster than I was expecting, but it makes sense because it's such a short book. I can't really tell you a lot of what's going on without spoiling it. That's my update, I guess. Well, I am getting tattooed. I'm planning on bringing my Kindle, like I said, and I'm going to be starting A Botanical Daughter because that is my longest one I have to read, and with it already being Saturday, we need to get moving. I'm getting a pretty big tattoo today, so I'm imagining I will get a lot of reading done, and then I will obviously update you later when I'm back home. I think that's all for now, so I gotta finish getting ready. have a lot to catch up on. First of all, I did survive the tattoo. It was a lot. It was so rough. I used to be tough, okay? I used to get tattoos like no problem. They didn't hurt. Now they hurt because, oh my God, I thought I was going to die. Not the entire time, obviously, but the entire process ended up taking 7 hours, and there were just a lot of sections that we had to keep going over, keep adding black to. It was a very dark tattoo. All stuff that I didn't take into account when planning it. But yeah, I survived. Barely, and I was so dead exhausted after. I picked up food from my favorite Indian place on the way home. I ate that. I literally sat in a bathtub soaking my back muscles because honestly, one of the worst parts of getting a tattoo is just sitting in the same position for hours, and I was twisted up like a pretzel because obviously tattooing your inner leg like that is a little difficult to get comfortable. So I sat in the bath with my leg extended out of the water, obviously, because you cannot soak new tattoos after getting them. And that did help a lot. And then I went straight to bed. And I am so thankful that I woke up this morning and like I have some back pain, but it is not the level that I was expecting it. Like I literally thought I wasn't gonna be able to walk today. That's how sore and just dead my body felt. The pain scale for the tattoo itself, definitely not my most painful, but not my least painful. It was like middle of the road. Everybody's body is different, and I've gotten tattooed in that same general spot on my right leg, and I had no pain at all. That was also a much lighter tattoo that was done in black and gray, whereas this tattoo, my ghost face, was just like straight black work and a lot of shading, a lot of heavy black filling in. So again, I wouldn't let the pain of tattoos scare you from getting them because the pain is such a short amount of time and then you have like this beautiful artwork on your body. But if the pain is something that you're like really worried about or really focused on, just take that into account. Go for something more fine line, less shading. Color usually doesn't hurt too bad as long as you're not doing layers and layers and layers. But yeah, there were definitely parts of the tattoo where I was regretting all of my life choices that led me to this moment. Sydney's face was a big one just because kept going over and over. Her hair was terrible. And then honestly, Ghostface's mask, like his mouth and his eyes, and I do think that is just like the type of needle my artist was using because the other black parts, like his cloak and his hood, I was fine with that, but I feel like he was using a smaller needle, obviously, to be more detailed in the little bits, and that just hurt a lot. And while I was getting tattooed, I had a lot of time to get some reading done. First up, I did finish Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. 5 stars. I'm not even gonna say anything else because I've already said a lot about this book. I wouldn't want it ruined for anybody. I feel like going in as blind as I did was perfect. While this is my favorite book that I've read so far this month, I do not think this book is going to be for everybody. So even though I gave it 5 stars, I don't think I would widely recommend it. This book is for the weirdos. I was laughing so hard because I think the top rating on Goodreads right now describes it as The Thing, but 600 times hornier, and that's 1000% accurate. So I would say this is a good one for fans of The Thing, the movie Together, fans of weird horror, people like myself who like when horror can make you say what the fuck and like shock you because you've never seen or read anything like it before. That's this book. I loved every second of my time reading it, and honestly, I wish it had been longer. I would have loved like a big fat novel just exploring this thing that they encounter. After that, I did bring my Kindle and I started A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. I think I'm DNFing. I was so bored, and the only reason that I read so much of it is because I didn't have anything else. I didn't have anything else downloaded on my Kindle, I didn't bring anything else physically, and my phone was about to die. So at the 30% mark, I decided I'm gonna DNF, and then I had to go back to it because I still had time left in my appointment with nothing to do. I ended up reading to the 50% mark, and it just solidified it. It is so boring. It is not what I was expecting it to be, and I feel really bad because this was a gift from my friend Ashlyn, so I'm not gonna get rid of the book. Maybe in the future I'll go back to it and see if I can finish it. maybe the last 50% turns it all around and it gets more exciting. But the parts I read yesterday were kind of torture to get through. This one is following this gay couple named Gregor and Simon in Victorian England. And Gregor is a botanist. He has this greenhouse that they live in, and Simon does taxidermy. So we're getting a lot about these two men's profession, their different artistry that they're doing with this. And in the beginning of the story, Gregor receives this new plant that seems to be capable of intelligence. I actually think it's like a fungi or like a mushroom type plant. I was finding it a little hard to follow. They were using like the scientific names for everything. But Gregor decides that because they are unable to have children of their own, he is going to create a daughter for them out of this plant. So for a while, I was actually pretty interested because they end up like grave robbing this recently deceased woman, and they plant her and they like put the plant all like through her veins and shit so it'll start growing into this human body. But the more it went on, the more I just got bored and like sick of waiting for the botanical daughter to become a character. The first 50% of this book is just like talking about it growing. Like they don't even know if it's gonna work. And honestly, it's a lot of the two men like disagreeing and fighting about stuff because Simon does not like this experiment that Gregor is doing. And then besides those chapters, we are also getting the point of view of this woman who is their maid, which I wasn't expecting it. And she's kind of boring. Like I did not care about her chapters at all. I don't know if she has like a bigger part in it later on, but I was just like, why are we following this woman that has nothing to do with the rest of the story? So I was really, really bored reading it, and I don't want to waste my day today continuing. Yeah, I'm deciding I'm DNFing. I honestly should have DNF'd Haunting of Alejandra last weekend, and I didn't, so I'm doing it this time, even though I hate DNFing books that I own physically, especially when they were gifts, but it is just not the right time for this book. So with all of those updates out of the way, we can finally move on to today. This morning we got up and we picked up coffee at one of our favorite spots. I made a mistake and I did not check their Instagram before going because they actually had an event going on. They were doing this like coffee house dance club thing. They had a DJ there like playing very loud dance music. And while I get the purpose of it because it was put on by this group in my city that really promotes just like sober activities. So he actually does a lot of spots at like nightclubs around the city, and they have like sober nights where no alcohol is served, but there's like a bunch of fun mocktails and there's dance music, and it's just like a good way for people who don't drink to have fun and not feel the pressure of being around alcohol or dealing with drunk people. Like I totally get it and support it. I've gone to some of their events at night before. I just was not expecting it at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and it definitely wasn't the vibe I was looking for this morning. I wanted to sit down with my book and have a quiet spot to read. So we did our best. We tried to sit all the way in the back of the coffee house where they had like this hallway near their bathroom, and it was still just too loud to focus. So I only read one chapter of What Stalks the Deep. That is my next book I am starting. This is the third book in the, what is this series called? It's something like Sworn Soldier series. It used to be called the Alex Easton series. I thought, could be making that up, but they all follow this ex-soldier named Alex Easton as they just encounter different paranormal phenomenons and try to solve the mysteries behind them. It started out with book one in the series, What Moves the Dead, which was a House of Usher, The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. It was based on that short story, and it had to do a lot with eco-plant mushroomy horror, which actually, so did Spread Me. That had a lot to do with just like mushrooms and lichen and different little bacteria that live in the ground. And then of course, this one was all about sentient plants. And now this one, I'm not far enough in it yet to know if it has the same themes, but wow, did I just do a whole plant horror vlog without realizing it? We'll just have to see what happens with this one. I know this one is about Alex Easton traveling to America for the first time because the rest of the books took place in England, I think. Alex is traveling to America to an abandoned coal mine in West Virginia with a reputation for being haunted. But when their old friend, Dr. Denton, summons them to help find his lost cousin who went missing in that very mine, well, sometimes a sworn soldier has to do what a sworn soldier has to do. So yeah, that doesn't tell us too much about what we're going to encounter, but just based on the cover with the bear melting, looks like it might be getting eaten by mushrooms. I don't know what that's supposed to be. And other than that, last up on the TBR is the next story in the Scared Sexy collection. I think this one is called Fallen, and it's by Christina Lauren. I've only read one Christina Lauren in the past, I think, and it wasn't my absolute favorite, so we'll see how they do with this short story. Based on the cover, I'm assuming it'll have to do with an angel. So those are gonna be my plans for the day whenever I feel like listening to an audiobook and doing some chores around the house, because I definitely have some stuff I need to do. I will pop on the audio, and then when I feel like sitting down to read physically, I'll be working on What Stalks the Deep. I have just finished Falling by Christina Lauren, and honestly, perfect timing because I also just finished putting away some laundry in here. So now I'm gonna sit down and relax for a little bit. I still have other things to do, but sitting here feels so good. So, Falling. It was fine. It was probably my least favorite so far. I liked the other two a lot more. I think I've decided I'm gonna go with a 3-star rating for this. It was just kind of whatever. I do feel like maybe it was the shortest one so far. Let me check. Falling was 56 pages. Beautiful Nightmare was 52 pages. Okay, so about on pace with, what was I saying? On pace with Falling. Eva has decided she wants to cuddle because it's getting colder, and that is the only time she is cuddly, when she's cold. And then yeah, I'm pretty sure Hot for Slayer was the longest. The audiobook for that one was definitely longer than the other two. I don't know if it's the case of just it was too short of a story for me to really get into it and get to know the characters. I also just, like I mentioned, Christina Lauren isn't an author duo that I read from a lot. Nothing against them. I just don't know if they write my kind of romance. And based on this short story, I think I'm happy to continue skipping their books. I don't know. If you guys have a favorite Christina Lauren, let me know. Give me the recommendations. Maybe I'm just not reading the right stuff. But I read The Unhoneymooners by them, and I don't remember what I rated it. Maybe editing Alexis will pop it up on the screen. But I remember just being like, okay, that was a fine romance. Like, I feel like they write fine romance, but I'm not like screaming, giggling, kicking my feet over them. And that's what I want in a cute little romance short story. Yeah, because this one was so short, I won't give you too much of a synopsis. Just know that this one did have to do with an angel, as we surmised from the cover. And we were following this girl who, she was in college and she was attending a Halloween party with her boyfriend, and he was just kind of like not a good boyfriend. And like, he didn't do anything that wrong, but like, they got to this Halloween party and he ditched her to go hang out with his friends, and I guess that was sort of a trend. He did that a lot, and she finally just had enough of it. She broke up with him, and she ends up meeting this mysterious, handsome stranger at the party who happens to be our angel main character, and they connect and fall for each other. It was kind of giving me the teeny tiniest little bit of Twilight vibes, because the angel did have this like special ability to kind of communicate using his mind. He was able to sort of control humans or persuade them, and our main character was almost immune to that, a lot like Bella and Edward in Twilight. So yeah, I thought that inclusion was cute. I also just look for ways to compare everything to Twilight. So another prompt down, and that means we just have one more book left to read. And I'll probably be going to sit down and read physically in just a little bit after I sit here and scroll on my phone for a few more minutes. So I will talk to you guys later. I did it. I finished. It is 12:30, so I'm exhausted and I'm going to bed immediately. But first, we have to wrap this thing up. Literally just finished it and I haven't had a chance to think about it, but my first reaction is to give it 4.5 stars. I really liked this one. It was a lot faster paced than the previous one. I don't even remember what I rated What Feasts at Night, but I remember being disappointed and I remember that that one took me forever to get through, so I'm very happy that it was not the case with this one. My only complaint, and the reason it's not getting 5 stars, is I was a little confused at the plot. For the most part, it made sense. I just maybe had a few questions, and maybe it's just because I was reading it while I was tired, but the horror in this was very effective. If you are claustrophobic or have a fear of caves, this is so effective. Like, a recurring nightmare I have is being in like an underground tunnel and the tunnel is closing in around me, so I have to like crawl on my belly through it. There was a scene like that in this, and it was like, it was just described perfectly to make you feel the claustrophobia that Alex was feeling. The panic of feeling like you're stuck and not knowing if the hole is going to keep getting tighter to the point where you can't move anymore. And oh my God, I could envision everything. I felt like I was in their body crawling through the dirt. And just for that scene alone, it was getting 4 stars. And then it just really ramped up the, I guess, body horror towards the end, and that's what made me decide to go with 4.5 stars. I know I just said that I thought this was more fast-paced, but honestly the horror doesn't come into it until later on. The first half of this story is really just setting the scene. It's more so like a mystery. They are trying to find the missing cousin Oscar and investigate the mine and just put all the clues together, and the horror elements don't come in until the end, but they were so well done, I could forgive it. Overall, the whole book had this eerie, tense feeling of just like something's gonna happen, something bad is going to happen, and maybe it was my claustrophobia, because I would feel the same way Alex did if I was in a mine like this. But I think that overall feeling was a big driving force that kept this from getting boring. I still felt on the edge of my seat, like waiting for something to happen. Very happy to be all caught up in the series currently, and very happy to have completed another Hollow Weekend with you. That is going to be it for now. I am so tired, so I need to get to bed. I think our question of the vlog needs to be Scream related, so please let me know in a comment below, what is your favorite scary movie? I think it's pretty obvious which one mine is. And if you would just like to leave me an emoji in a comment below to let me know you were here, our emoji of the video is going to be the bear, since it was picked for us at the beginning of this. But as always, friends, I hope you read a dark book today, and I will see you soon in my next one. Bye.